Welcome to Own the Chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
And crash. You son
Oh, God. Hold on. Pause.
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
They were targeting Wall Street when they should have been targeting Capitol Hill. They should have been targeting DC. This is the same thing, and this is what people keep missing.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
You bought GameStop at 400, didn't you? To the moon, baby. To the moon.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. The stock market is crazy and chaotic, and we made it our mission to help you own it. Fat Man Zoom, why don't you hit him with the starting five?
Starting five, we got Sean Ethier, John Gosson, Sam Cisneros, Deborah Parsons, and Shane Haley. Those are very basic names.
Who loves the intro music, by the way?
But first, guys, we haven't had great thumbnails, so I need to... There's a thumbnail. Don't worry about what we're doing.
There's some exclusive behind-the-scenes footage right here, folks.
Hi.
You can't forget the dramatic stuff. What's up, everybody? What's up, Fat Man Zoom? How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Shout out to Boogaloo Brown. I feel like I haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah.
KYM is on here, and I can't remember why I wanted to call him out. It was a comment he made, and I don't know what it was. KYM, do you know what it was? I feel like I commented on your comment. Not sure what it was. Not sure what it was. But if you remember, let me know. Vinay's already out of lots. That can't be possible. I just put in my order to add 2 lots.
Yep, 515 is where we're both looking at for averaging in.
Yeah, so good day for me so far. Man, I was looking at my account, and Sleeper has been charge point. I'm up 45%
That's crazy,
on
man.
charge point, which is cool. It just feels good to, like, sometimes things don't have to be like a huge pop.
Yeah.
You know, and those are fun for a second,
Right.
like the high highs just in a day. But it's just nice because ChargePoint didn't give me any stress, got into it, added to it,
Yeah.
ended up just letting it sit and do its thing. And,
Right.
and I turn around, I'm like, shit, it's up 43%. That's crazy. And the catalyst that we thought it would be, which was the hype into the EV, into the infrastructure play and the EV charging stations being a part of that.
Yeah.
And then it continues after the infrastructure announcement. It's cool when you feel that. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Now, the banks, on the other hand, I was in Bank of America hoping to have the same sort of deal, but it didn't.
Yep.
I'm slightly red on it, only a couple % down. But again, that wasn't even, it's not like I'm hugely down. It just, I wasn't in the right stock, which we'll get into that in a second, the right banking stocks to be in and which ones did well. But it's cool because when I do it right, it's not that stressful.
Yeah.
It's not a crazy ride, but it's cool when you turn it back and you're like, oh, damn, that was a good run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually see a couple of people in here. Nina, I mean, I know that Nina showed up the other day. It's been a minute since I've seen her, too. What's up, Nina? Says Neo is on fire. But yeah, man, that plays into the EV stuff too. With Neo, some of the other smaller cap EV plays have been doing really well. But man, that is great. I mean, that plays into, not only does ChargePoint fall into that category, but we've talked about energy too, and it kind of plays into that as well. The whole energy sector, not just oil and gas, but also renewables. They're all taking off as a result of some of the infrastructure play. It's good to see, man. I'm glad you made a great trade on that.
Yeah, it speaks to what we talk about on this channel. Guys, this is the information we're freely giving. I mean, how many times did I talk about getting into infrastructure plays for months?
Yeah.
And these are the topics that we bring to the table. Today's topics, I think, are a few good ones.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the banking. I want to talk about a couple stocks that we didn't talk about beforehand, but I want to talk about a couple of stock plays. We might touch upon Kathy Wood making a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
She's not dead yet. What else do we got?
He's not dead.
What else are we talking about?
We're also talking about Facebook and how it might not be out of the woods here.
Yeah.
And as far as the FTC coming after them, and I'll give some explanation as to why. But yeah, that also Clover went off today. I don't know if that means anything. And Wish also had a pretty big pullback. So I know there's two particular tickers that you guys have been asking us a lot about. So we'll definitely cover that as well. But I just noticed that we both kind of matched today. We knew this kind of day was going to come. We're both wearing great T-shirts.
I feel good about that. I love this T-shirt. It's way more expensive than I want to admit.
Than this, because it was free?
Yeah, way more. You know what shirt? You know what brand this is?
No.
Under Armour.
Is it?
It's the best shirt you'll ever have. But it's Under Armour. Now, you may not like this, and I don't love it, but it's actually a Tom Brady shirt.
Oh, I've heard that he's got good shit.
Yeah, it's the best shirt. I mean, Chris, who's in our man mail, he has like 12 of them. He works for Under Armour. He's like, this is the only shirt I'll wear.
Really?
And I understand why, but it is way too expensive. Like I shouldn't say that because I'll wear it. I wear it a lot.
Yeah.
Like $75, I think. If I remember
for a T-shirt. Oh, yeah, that's a lot for a T-shirt.
But I wear it as an undershirt. I wear it just out in general. Work out. Like it's.
Is it like cool wear or heat gear or anything like that, or just?
No, I think the thing behind this is that it never stretches. It never loses its structure. So that's like their main selling point for it.
When you get like the bacon neck.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a good fitting, and it's a good fitting shirt. So I don't know. I'm torn because if I'm wearing it all the time, then I guess $75 isn't a big deal. But
yeah,
I mean, you feel the fabric. It's like pretty quality. Touch that thing. Yeah,
it actually is pretty nice. You never know what we're going to be talking about here on In the Chaos, folks. But yeah, so I did not. I still own lots. Thank you very much. Still have it. $75 undershirt.
It's hot as hell too, by the way, in Baltimore.
Oh
Maryland.
my God. Yeah, I put the top back on the Jeep because it just couldn't stand anymore.
It was like 97 degrees today.
Yeah.
But enough of that small talk. Guys, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. Housekeeping items. Just go ahead and hit the like. Like that's just, I mean, how many people we got?
Yeah,
in
we
the
just
house
got
already?
done talking about giving you free info that you could have made money off of, and it doesn't cost you anything to just hit the thumbs up. Certainly would appreciate that. We got 95 of you guys hanging out with us so far and climbing, I'm seeing here, and 19 likes.
Yeah.
So come on, get them up.
Yeah, get those likes up. Welcome to Own the Chaos. The thing is, we explain this all the time, but it makes a lot of sense. Kudos to you. The stock market is crazy chaotic. We've made it our mission to own it. And fortunately, recently, we've owned it, and it hasn't been that stressful. Unlike like previous months, there's been certain months where it's been a little bit stressful. Yeah. But life is good, man.
It is, bro. Like, it feels a lot less stressful. I mean, I feel like day to day, this week hasn't been the greatest week. But I just feel good about the positions that I'm in and the strategy that I've set up. Like at this point, I'm almost feeling like I'm in kind of just set it and forget, watch it coast for right now, and see what comes up.
Yeah.
And then make decisions when I need to make them. It's not really like I'm stressing out about anything. And a lot of it has to do with the summertime. Obviously, volume's lower than normally is too. We have less things to talk about, but we make it fun anyway. So I just feel good about where we're at. As a channel, I feel good about where we're at in our investments. So, yeah, it's good, man. Life is good.
Cool. All right, so I want to get into some of the topics. And, guys, let me remind you, and I need to do this more actively in general.
Yeah.
This is not financial advice. Do your own due diligence. I appreciate Savvy bringing that up. Do your own due diligence. We're going to talk about what we're doing, how the market impacts us. Guys, you are adults. You guys make your own trades. This is just meant to have conversation, discussion. Shout out in the comments if you have any feedback on the discussion we're talking about, the specific topic. But I actually, let's just start right into banking stocks because we've talked about this in our Chaos crew, but we've talked about it on the channel fairly frequently, and that's the stress test. We've been looking forward to this stress test, and it was announced yesterday that the major banks that you guys all care about passed the stress test, which means now that those banks can increase their dividends, one, probably more importantly, buy back shares. Morgan Stanley stood out from the pack. Goldman Sachs, I would say, stood out, and Wells Fargo. Morgan Stanley led the charge basically doubled their dividend, and they announced that they're going to buy back $12 billion worth of shares through June of 2022. So basically for a whole year. A bunch of other banks announced. Bank of America announced an increase. I think it was like 60%. Wells Fargo surprisingly was down, but they doubled their dividend and they announced a buyback. And so we brought that discussion up, and we were basically like, okay, that's interesting because some are moving, some are not. You had a hypothesis and I had a separate hypothesis. So why don't you talk about that?
As far as like why certain banks are moving and other ones weren't. So my initial thoughts on this was, since the industry itself is basically doing everything together, like they're all increasing their dividends, they're all, increasing buybacks as a result of the stress test. I felt as if most people are looking at the industry and not necessarily looking at a specific bank. So they're just going to go straight to best in class. And if I'm a hedge fund or even if I'm a retail investor, the first two that are going to come to mind is going to be Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley was up as much as 4.5% today. Goldman, I think, was up over 2.5%, I want to say, somewhere around there. Yeah. And those are the best in class type of stocks. So if I'm just looking to get into some financial institution, I don't care what it is, I'm probably looking at something like one of those two. Yeah,
and I can see that. I didn't think, my angle was a little bit different because something like this should move all of the industry.
Yeah.
Now, best in class should have more volatility and should outperform. But what was interesting when I was looking at especially Wells Fargo, because I actually went the Bank of America route, and the reason why I did it was Goldman Sachs is in our dividend bot.
Yes.
So I typically don't like to have overlap there. And Bank of America, I felt, was in a better position than Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has made some poor business decisions on their leadership. So I'm not confident in them.
And their operations.
Yeah, so I did that. But what I theorized was the ones that did well are leaning heavily into investment revenue.
Yeah.
Where you look at JP Morgan, you look at Morgan Stanley, and you look in Goldman Sachs. Really what stands out with Goldman Sachs is their wealth management side of their business. Morgan Stanley as well. The exposure to real estate and loans was what I looked at with Wells Fargo and Bank of America. And only the common denominator that I could find. And so I'm wondering if that plays into it at all as well, just because we know the issue with real estate and supply is low, so you're not going to get as much loan volume.
Right.
And so that's one thing I wondered as well. Obviously, investing has been through the roof, and any bank that focuses on investment and wealth management should continue to do well.
At Goldman Sachs, their trading activity has more than doubled over the last 12 months, and I think that obviously plays a big key role into that too. The thing is, as far as the other banks, they lean heavily into lending too, which obviously plays a factor, especially Wells Fargo, Bank of America.
Low interest rates play a factor in that.
Yeah, so that's a big deal, and those banks are really struggling to get loans out. They're willing to give out as many loans as they can. Usually, you see it tightening up on a economic contraction, and this has kind of been the opposite. They've been trying to give money away and they can't do it. So that also plays a factor for sure. And regardless of them buying back, I guess people just don't really would rather favor something like a Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs.
I'll be honest, I still am okay with being in Bank of America.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
But I think leading into their dividend increase, we could see a little bit of a run.
Yeah.
And I think overall, I believe we do see banking as a whole begin to creep up, but the leaders probably still outperforming in general. So I'm going to hang on to my position and just ride it out and see what happens. Worst case, I get a little bit of a dividend.
This was actually one thing that there's very few things that I disagree with. And you guys know, everybody knows that I'm a big fan of Tom Lee. And he talked about how they actually downgraded, Fundstrat actually downgraded the financials 2 weeks ago. And I don't know if maybe they just overlooked this part or what, but the financials, the XLF has actually been doing really good. And it wasn't like a downgrade to sell or anything like that. It was just to neutral instead of outperform. But still, I mean, I think that this is going to be a huge case for them to continue to outperform probably through the end of the summer at least.
I bet it was an oversight, which sounds ridiculous, but I do believe it because it's been coming for so long. I mean,
maybe they felt as if it was priced in or whatever, maybe.
Or honestly, what if it was just overlooked? Like, because there was no set day. It was June 30th, essentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds ridiculous for me to say it was overlooked, but we've been talking about it for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so long. Like, for the whole year, they already talked about it. So it wasn't an ongoing conversation. It was at the beginning of the year,
Yep.
I think, or the end of last year. They said June was a stress test. And so it's surprising. But additionally, what I would say as far as a consideration is it's not sexy. So like everybody's been talking about the meme stocks, everybody's been talking about crypto, and I think that what we talked about before is like attention's been elsewhere, and so nobody wants to hear about stress test, and so nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and there is a lot of other stuff going on, and maybe that had a lot to do with it. I mean, you look at something like Goldman Sachs, it's already gone up a ton too. I think there's something to be said for it going up.
That is a beautiful chart.
It is. Yeah, let's take a look at this chart here. This is a Goldman Sachs chart. You can see from the first of the year, Goldman Sachs has gone up. Let's see here. I'm just going to estimate.
I can actually pull
260 went up to the highs of 393. So that's what 65% from its highs.
Have I ever showed you this with the iPhone?
It's following the 50-day moving average beautifully too, by the way.
Have I ever showed you this?
Uh-uh.
So on iPhone, you pick your date
Yeah.
and you pick the end date, and it'll give you the percentage.
No shit.
Isn't that badass?
I wonder. Mine probably does that. Was that Weeble?
No, that's the app for iPhone.
Oh, no
That's
shit.
the app. Yeah, 37.5%. And you could do it on the computer app too. So I have it here. It's the same thing.
What?
Yeah, literally. This is the same app. It's just on the Mac. But you just click it and you hold it and you look whatever time frame you want.
So what is it? Was it 65? 60,
Oh,
65?
sorry. Yeah, I think it was 65.
Yeah, so 65% gains.
Oh, no. Since January 1st?
Yeah.
38%.
Okay, so that's still
$101.
huge. I mean, what the S&P's 13%, 14%, which is crazy for the S&P, but major performance from Goldman Sachs and really the financial industry as a whole. So, I think it does continue to roll here. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this hit 400 on Goldman Sachs maybe by the end of the summer.
Yeah, so I would say for me, I am hella bullish on financials moving forward.
Yeah.
I think we're going to continue. I think we're going to hear more about buybacks. And so, I don't know, man. If not only was the stress test important to show that if there was basically the point of it was, could the bank survive if there was a mass crash or issue,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that means that they're in great financial positions, and they haven't been able to buy back because the government says they haven't. So I think there's going to be some catch up, and I think there's going to be a lot of extra cash on hand. So the earnings are going to be really interesting when they come around.
Do you think the eviction moratorium plays into some of the banks that are more sensitive to loans and mortgages?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that could also play
Yeah.
a factor as to why they're
Yeah,
not
you're right.
outperforming too. So, yeah. Definitely some things to consider, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think about the financials. Are you in them? Do you not care about them? Really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this as well.
Shout out to Sean McElway, Bloomsburg, PA, baby. I went to high school at Cumberland Valley. I don't know if you know where that is.
The way
not
out
too
west?
far. Central PA is Cumberland Valley.
Okay.
Went to college at LVC. I'm speaking in code. Only Central PA people would know this. I know Bloomsburg, though. Bloomsburg.
If you're in or around PA, you also call it PA, not Pennsylvania.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so next order of discussions here is Facebook. Now, Facebook, you guys know, if you don't know already, you probably live under a rock. But Barron's came out with an article and basically said Facebook's not out of the woods, and I agree. I think that with Facebook, the ruling that came out with them yesterday regarding the FTC had a complaint about them about antitrust issues, and essentially they want them to break up. They want them to break up some of their other businesses, such as WhatsApp, Instagram. We've heard about this already. They've been to Congress, and so yesterday they went to court. The federal judge, which is, I believe, was actually appointed by Obama, which whatever, doesn't matter, I don't think. But either way, dismissed it and almost kind of made a mockery of the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, about this whole notion as to how they even approach this. I don't know if it necessarily meant the judge was in disagreement with them, but I think that the way that they presented the information was a bit of a joke, and it was kind of embarrassing almost for the attorney generals and the FTC in particular. The crazy part about this is that the federal judge essentially laid out a blueprint, if you will, in this whole part of it, in the whole ruling, pretty much saying that they have the ability to amend this within 30 days and come back with a stronger argument, I guess, however it has to be laid out. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that's probably could be what's coming for them. They had said, Barron's had said, regulatory battles for both Facebook and its megatech peers are just beginning. For one thing, Judge James Boasberg of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia left room for the FTC to amend its complaint. Boasberg found that the FTC failed to prove its assertion that Facebook has a monopoly power, finding the commission's assertion that Facebook controls 6% of social networking marketing to be unstoppable by evidence. And this doesn't really seem to be affecting consumers and stuff like that. So there's a lot that has to go into them essentially finding them guilty of a monopoly. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this because Facebook jumped 5.5%, 6% after hours. Its pullback is now sitting around $350 from its 357 highs, 358 highs. And do you think that this is going to matter for the stock? Do you think it's going to pull back if they end up amending this? And is it just another opportunity? Is it just another hoop that Facebook has to jump through? Yeah. What is it? Is it noise or is there something to this, do you think? Well,
so Fat Man Zoom holds, like, Facebook is a Fat Man Zoom stock. So what did I say this morning? Did I say like 267 or something? I have substantial gains on it. So
yes.
I have it.
Okay.
So this is how I feel. It's not even a guess. This is how I'm treating it. Will there be a reaction? Yes, I think so. And it will create a buying opportunity, at least for myself. So yeah. I don't think it would be a crazy reaction as if it was a new case out of the blue. So I don't think it's going to be as drastic of a reaction. But the thing with these companies, like the mega cap companies and the mega cap tech specifically, is I think we're just used to now there's always regulatory issues.
Yes.
And so I feel like the stocks aren't reacting as much as they did before, where people are like, okay, this is just going to be the name of the game, where government's going to continue to go after them.
Yeah, it's just never ending, man. It's crazy, too. The new chair of the FTC, Lena Khan, do you know anything about this woman?
No.
She's a genius, for one, but she's only 32 years old. And I feel like if you're the chairman of the FTC, I'm not saying that there has to be age discrimination one way or the other, but just seems like there probably is somebody who has a little bit more experience. And to me, I think it probably is one of the major reasons potentially why this got thrown out, because of lack of supporting evidence.
Yeah, for sure. I think whether it's appealed or not, I think there's going to be another sort of hearing or charge in the future.
Yeah.
Around the corner.
There's always going to be something, I think.
But I think just, again, that speaks to having a strategy, and especially if you're trading this, you should be up on this. If you're on Facebook, you should be up.
Yeah.
And so setting a stop and being like, hey, take profit, and I'm going to do it again.
Yep.
And so
rinse and repeat.
Facebook is one of the best companies out there, and we lose sight of that. Just hit $1 trillion, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
So
one of only 5 companies that are in the $1 trillion club.
Yeah, and I feel like they're the redheaded stepchild of the group. That or Microsoft, one or the other would be. But Facebook, you don't think about it. You think about, or not, more like little brother. Facebook's like a little brother.
Yeah.
But when you think about what they have coming up and the opportunity for growth, you could argue that Facebook has a more optimistic picture to it. Oculus, AR, they're only in the first inning of that, if not in the warm-up.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's going to happen as far as that's concerned, not just for when people think about Oculus, it's their AR platform, virtual reality goggles, if you guys don't know what they are. But not only are they talking about simulations and experiences and gaming, guys, there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
There actually are things that they can do. Think about this, like healthcare, like visits, right? Physician visits. It seems weird, but that's where the world is going, and Oculus is looking to capitalize off of that. And so that it's going to be crazy to see what they can do. The question is going to be how they can monetize it, but there's huge upside for Facebook. Don't think this is just a social media company, because it is not.
Yeah. Yeah. Savvy Money Show says Facebook and Alphabet are the two most undervalued companies in the club, in his opinion. I agree with that. I agree they're the two most undervalued. Especially, I don't think that Google has begun to even start reacting to the travel demand.
Yeah.
That it's about to, benefit from greatly, or is benefiting from. We'll find that out next month. But yeah, I agree. Facebook is definitely undervalued too, and it is hard to fathom that because of how young Facebook actually is. People kind of forget Facebook is only about 12 years old.
Publicly traded wise.
Yeah, no, well, publicly traded, I think it's even less than that. But
it was when I was in college
that it started being that it started, but being publicly traded.
Oh yeah, probably around that.
I think it was like 2012.
Yeah,
Facebook came to be publicly traded, but they started like 06, 07, I think. But still, that's a very young company for it to be $1 trillion. I mean, it's not like it's a tiny number. I mean, you look at Microsoft, Apple. These companies have been around for decades, and Facebook has yet to have been around for really 2, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, for sure. So I love Facebook. I mean, there's a reason why I have it as one of my Fat Man Zoom specials. So we'll see what happens. So Nate said, went public 2012, 2006.
Man, I pulled that right out of my ass.
Yeah. I literally said public, and you go, no. I mean,
yeah.
Guys, he doesn't listen to me.
I don't.
So I want to talk to you about something going on in my account. A couple positions that are doing well, but sort of my strategy going into it, and just things that maybe people will help consider in their account. So I've talked about my big gainers right now. Charge points at the top of that list. I mean, Clover aside, charge points at the top of the list.
Yeah,
43%. I have stops set on everything. I'm in the green now. Mm-hmm. I have almost 50% cash on hand. I spent a little bit, so I'm about, I think, 45% cash on hand. But 2 stocks, interestingly enough, Palantir's kicking ass for me as well, almost 40%. But 2 that have also been sleepers that we haven't talked about is Square and AMD. And I want to start with Square just to get it out of the way. And the question regarding Square, or the thought regarding Square, because I got in almost like on the move up, so I waited for confirmation, but fairly early. I've been in since like June 10th, and I am up 16%, which I'm incredibly happy with. I think it's coming on around a key resistance, which could hopefully it'll break through and act as a support. But I feel really bullish on Square, and I'm asking you because you're more bullish on Square than I am. I'm a PayPal guy, but I just thought there was a great technical play there. It's played out for me.
Yeah.
Do you attribute that to Bitcoin and crypto coming back as a whole, or is there something else?
Yeah, so I think it's a multiple of things. I think it's crypto starting to come back. I mean, Bitcoin has done extremely well from its lows. I think it hit 35,000, 36,000 a day. So that's doing really well. And that has always kind of influenced the movement of Square. But we've talked about this, bro, like the hybrid nature of Square being that it is a tech stock and it gets treated that way, but it's also a reopening play because of how much it's going to benefit from businesses opening back up and it having its point of sale benefits there. So like, I think that this is like a perfect stock that touches all the facets here. And yeah, I agree. I think it's just a multitude of things right along there with like a PayPal and such. So yeah, I still love this stock. And I think that
how much higher can it go?
That 262 mark that, you guys see, I have a resistance line marked here, and that might have been what you were alluding to as well. I think that's probably going to be a very pivotal moment for Square from a technical standpoint, because if it breaks up over that, I don't know if there's much stopping it to 280, and that'll be a huge point for Square.
So that's Square. Staying in and have no intention of getting out of it.
Yeah.
AMD, though, is an interesting one.
Bro, what a monster.
I got in that from a technical perspective as well, and it's been doing really well for me. So my average is, I got in at 76.99.
Yeah.
Up 16% on it. And the interesting thing behind AMD is we've seen NVIDIA on this massive run.
Yeah.
And which is the competitor AMD. We
Yep.
think NVIDIA is number one. AMD is a close second.
Yes.
And it's had this massive run. And I just kind of chalked it up to stock split announcement, a little bit of their mining chips that they announced. So like a little bit of the crypto boom as well. And additionally, the positive news around the ARM acquisition. And not for once did I consider maybe semiconductors as a whole are coming into favor. And so I was a little bit worried about NVIDIA getting in a little too hot. But now AMD is moving and looks like it's breaking out.
Yes.
Is this a semiconductor thing? Like we should be bullish overall on whatever our famous chip company is? Our favorite chip company is?
It's like we've talked about. We talked about this just last week. I mean, and AMD's been moving for the last 2 weeks, but we talked about this just last week about the chip shortage. The worst of it could be very well behind us, and so people have now fallen back into favor with all of the chip makers. I haven't looked at Intel recently, but I'm sure that's probably doing well too. So this could very well be the very early stages of a monster bull run. And even though the AMD has done really well, I still think NVIDIA is too hot. Intel started to make some moves here, nothing crazy, but that's also kind of at the back of the pack at this point. I still think that Intel still has room to potentially start to gain some more, close the gap, so to speak, against its other competitors. But either way, I think this definitely could be the early stages of a monster bull run for some of the chip makers. Demand is crazy right now.
Yeah, and Waqar, thanks for the information. I was unaware of this. He said that AMD has had approval by the UK for the X-Links merger.
Yes.
Which causes it to go up. I did not know that.
Yeah, that was today's news, yeah.
I've just been in it, so I didn't even realize it. I probably should have checked the news on that.
No, that's all good.
So we'll see. And, man, the tough thing about NVIDIA, I want to remind people, don't discount the ARM acquisition being complete. That to me is the big catalyst I'm looking for.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
And like I said, I hope it happens after the stock split. I want the stock split to happen. I think it's going to go down.
Yep.
And then I want to get in and I want to ride the news for when the ARM acquisition goes through because I am confident that's going to go through.
It's going to take a lot for me not to want
bookmark that Jeff Chow for a clip. not now, but when it happens.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot for me, I think, to not want to over leverage myself and NVIDIA on this pullback that we think is going to happen after the split.
Yeah,
it's going to take a lot for me now to want. Yeah, especially if the ARM acquisition's right around the corner.
The problem is when.
I know,
and that's gone up so much.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be crazy. So yeah, I mean, the benefit for me is I'm already in it in my Fat Man Zoom account. And so that's the benefit for me is I don't have to worry about it. N does not stand for Netflix. It stands for NVIDIA. But yeah, that's the level to get into it. And I want to get into the publicly traded portfolio. So I think it could be, we saw how massive Tesla pulled back.
Apple too.
They're very different companies.
Yeah. Bodie Beard says NVIDIA has been overcharging for lower tier GPUs. Yeah. That's how supply and demand works, man.
Yeah,
they can charge whatever they want at this point.
Yeah, and they talked about, I think they're underplaying their mining chips because they said it's not going to be material to their balance, their P&L statement. I think that's false.
I think they'll be surprised by that. Yeah,
be an opportunity, but they use those lower tier chips as well to satisfy that to free up some supply.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge piece of their business when they realize the revenue they could bring in for it.
Yeah, I do too. So, okay.
Market's closed.
Market is officially closed. The market closed today. Let's go ahead and look at some of the indices. Did S&P close at a record? Well, if Webull would...
Can I tell you a funny story real quick?
Yeah. S&P closed at a record. Dow Jones and NASDAQ, they all ended green today.
I'm working on planning man meal for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And so we're getting it, we're doing it in the studio and we're getting a company come in that's it's called So Beachy. It's a Haitian company. So
Beachy.
Yeah, like beach.
Yeah.
Like the beach. And so I set a reminder on my phone and I said, call Leo from So Beachy. And my reminder wrote, call Leo from So Space Bitchy. So my phone.
I mean, that's the play on words, isn't it?
Call So Bitchy.
Yeah.
I don't know if he intended to do that, but I want to ask him. I don't know. So beachy.
All right. So, Clover, Wish, they both had some weird days today. Clover today shot up over $14.40.
Yeah.
And then it came tumbling back. Actually, it didn't have that great of a day overall. I don't know what to make of this, bro. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this too, because I think that what could be happening is that we're seeing retail try to, I guess, force the short sellers out. Mm-hmm. And every time that happens, it seems as if the short sellers come right back in to drive the stock price down. What I am encouraged about is that this closed over $13. And if you guys recall, when I was riding this solo last week, I said that I really liked it if it can maintain above that $13 mark. Do you think this is a sign of strength, Fat Man Zoom, or do you think it's still going to be pretty choppy from here?
Ah, man, there's no real way to tell. I've been optimistic about how well it has held up, but there's no way. It's a futile effort to try to predict what will happen with Clover. I think that you can make the argument either way, and it's really just a coin flip. What's going to happen is a coin flip.
Yeah.
However, the fortunate thing about Clover that's different for the other meme stocks, and I've mentioned this before, is I believe it is a very good company that's undervalued, and so that's what it's got going for it that others don't.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man. I was really happy that it had the move it had. Even though it pulled back, it's still, like you said, up above 1330.
Yeah.
We've been talking about that area on the way down, so hopefully it can get back over that. But, man, if it could just keep steadily going up and start a little bit of an uptrend, that'd be great.
Yeah. Wish also had a interesting day today. Went all the way up over $14 and then came down and retested around $13.27. I think this is just probably a normal, healthy pullback. A lot of people seem kind of frustrated by this, but this broke out of this bull flag pattern. So you're going to have some consolidation here. I don't think there's necessarily anything to worry about there either. And really just wanted to mention those two because I know a lot of people ask about them. So just kind of wanted to cover those real quick and just let you guys know that nothing's really changed with us as far as those two are concerned.
Yeah, for sure. Nate asked, what's on the wall behind us? That is a mural. Vinny Hager is a local artist.
Let's do this. I can zoom in. I'll let you narrate the whole thing.
Okay.
So I will.
Are they going to be able to see it?
Yeah, they'll be able to see it. So I'm going to move your camera.
Yeah, so we had a local artist. We've been wanting on our back wall to have like a graffiti wall or an art wall or whatever. So yeah, we had an artist come in and do a mural on the wall. Vinny Hager, check him out.
There you can see it.
Oh, yeah, you can see it. Dude, the guy freehanded all of it, did it in 2 days, and he literally had no plan. I was like, so do you do like a mock-up and send it to me? He's like, no, whatever inspires me, I just do it. So it's pretty badass. Yeah, it turned out really well. Thoughts on Airbnb? They're the same as they've always been. Airbnb optimism is still strong.
Yeah, I'm in love with that wall. Every time somebody comes in, they always comment on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, we talked about a lot of stocks today, and most of them we've had multiple conversations about, and they've shown up on our watch list that we send out to our Chaos crew. It's a free watch list, 5 stocks that we're watching every morning before the market opens. If you too want that email, go to the description. There's a link where you can sign up for the free email and get the details. Do you want to tell them about the Chaos crew?
Yeah, so if you guys want even more of Only Chaos and you want that watch list along with in-depth analysis, access to our Discord group, live streams that you won't see on YouTube, all that good stuff, plus trade alerts, all that, and access to my portfolio, click the join button next to subscribe. It helps support the channel. It helps everything you see back here as well, and us continue to grow. So we certainly would appreciate it if you guys hit that join button next to subscribe. We'd love to have you guys as a part of the crew.
That's all I got.
I think that's all I got, too. It's a little bit of a shorter day, but hey, that's all right.
I'm going to give you guys 7 minutes back. Use it wisely, friends. Use it wisely. Back here tomorrow. My level 3 crew, I'll see you in the morning.
Hey.
Fat Man Zoom live trading session.
Real quick, Krispy Kreme's going live. They're going public.
Tomorrow?
These nuts.
That's their ticker symbol.
When is it going public?
I don't know when. I think tomorrow.
Okay.
I want to say sometime this week.
3:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We're going to be live again, folks. Bye.
Oh, where's it at?
Choose.
There she is.
Adios.
I quit this bitch.
Avite
See ya.
Ate logo.